Okay, hello, how are you doing? So, the premise of this is to actually go through the data visualization that exists in front of us so we can actually kind of look at the different ways to take all this data that we've aggregated and actually parse through it and actually see how it's relevant and what it actually shows and what it actually means. So unfortunately, my cursor is not showing up, so I can't actually kind of point to things as well. But I'll go through each chart and kind of explain what we're actually looking at, so we can kind of break down and kind of conceptually think about the information that we have here, so we can actually talk about like the different things that exist on here as we go through. And yeah, I'm sorry, my notifications are going to be popping up, so just know that instead of actually doing a slide deck, I'm just going to go readily through each of the tables themselves and kind of talk about the stuff, because I actually teach online, so I have the ability to kind of go through, create a full video, have my camera picking me up too, as well as I'm kind of talking through all this, but. So looking at this first chart right here, this kind of shows the percentage of occupancy in each of the different lots that we actually have here. And as you can see, looking at this, Lot 1 and Lot 2 are the ones that actually get the largest amount of occupancy. Probably Lot 4 is in a location that either is not accessible, or people just don't like to park there. Maybe it's far away from where it's actually accessible to the rest of the stuff. Like I don't like I'm assuming these are like the city parking lots. Let me take an example for like, let's say where these are all the different lots that exist in like Seattle. And maybe Lot 4 is just way outside of the city to where it's like you have to park and you have to walk at least like 2 miles to anything that's really relevant. So there's less parking that actually exists in parking Lot 4. So maybe as far as 4 is concerned, maybe you would actually start to put more public transportation that goes to and from, or maybe a monorail or something of that nature, so we can actually get them back into the city. So maybe then that parking lot gets utilized more throughout the time. We can tell Lot 2 gets used a lot. It's almost constantly full, just kind of conceptually looking at this box and whisker chart itself. Here it breaks it down by the day of the week, and you can tell that this is probably specifically the lots that exist within the city where most people work, because you can tell Monday through Friday the lots get filled up a lot more during the day of the week when most people are working. It's less on the weekends. The weekends get a lot less of an occupancy rate. So kind of conceptually, when we're actually looking at this data visualization, it's just trying to show us how the lots get occupied throughout the week, how it's considered. Now, what's going to give us a lot more information is when we start to look at these scatter plots, because these scatter plots, so specifically looking at these scatter plots, we're actually seeing the breakdown for the week of 11/20 in 2022 all the way to 11/27 2022. So we're talking Sunday through Saturday, and then each day is broken down through your early in the morning all the way to midnight. So 12 in the morning to 12 midnight each day, as it breaks down. And you can see about noontime is when it actually starts to really fill up. And even though this goes up to 120, obviously your maximum occupancy is 100%. So it's basically breaking down the percentage for each lot. So if we remember that lot number 2, we're actually looking at it, and it gets 100% occupancy a lot of times, especially even during the weekends if we're looking at it. So when we look at lot 2, which is the one that gets filled up the most, it actually hits 100% occupancy at noontime just about every single day. Monday is the only day that it actually doesn't hit 100% occupancy, but you can actually look at each lot here. Lot 1 is the other one that gets a lot of heavy parking in it, but as we look at all these different ones, we can actually see kind of what's happening. And lot 4 is the one that's kind of got the weakest usage as far as parking is concerned. Although it seems like on Sundays we actually do get a lot of people parking on Sundays. It's just overall it doesn't necessarily kind of fill up on Sundays, but yeah, on Sundays lot 4 actually gets used to where there's a pretty heavy increase, and lot 4 doesn't actually get 100% occupancy. Sorry, I was looking at that wrong. If we look here on the side, you'll see that this only goes up to 80%. So lot 4 never even gets past about 73% there of occupancy. But yeah, Sunday is kind of our weakest one. Well, lot 7 gets full on Sundays, and also like a nice information to have would be kind of like looking at a city map and finding out where each of these lots are actually located within the city itself. So it might be kind of nice to actually have that kind of information, so we would actually understand and know where they would actually be located. But ultimately, kind of looking at all this data visualization, it's the goal is to kind of assess, to understand where putting in a smart parking app, right? So we can actually aggregate the data a little bit more effectively, and give people the option to know like where they can possibly park, and kind of break down this information, so it would actually let them know like which parking lots are full, and specifically like coming into the city and everything, to be able to assess and kind of figure out like where they would need to go so they can actually access parking and everything. And it would definitely kind of help out. I think ultimately, like sitting on city council, to actually utilize this data properly, those like I was talking about, like maybe we could figure out a way to utilize lot 4 more, because it's the one that usually doesn't get utilized much, and we would have to figure out why it's not getting utilized much. Like I said, looking at a city map, that would probably help a lot better to kind of figure out like why it's not getting utilized. Is it an access issue? Is it a distance issue from like kind of the main part of the city? Like what is the whole issue of why parking lot 4 doesn't get used as much? And then maybe figuring out a way to kind of manage parking lot 2 a little bit better, because it's constantly full. Like it kind of has maximum occupancy on a regular basis. Like even if we're looking at this throughout the week itself, it's filled up at noon just about every single day except Mondays. And that might just be to the fact that people don't want to go to work on Mondays. so it's definitely almost always at maximum occupancy. And obviously there's kind of a break in there of when we're not tracking any information. I don't know if that's more of an issue of not tracking the information, or it's just literally nobody's parking at those times, because we're only we're only having them access these parking lots at a certain amount of time to where they're not open 24 hours, which I wouldn't understand why that would be. But those are some of the kind of questions that we might want to ask to kind of figure out that, so we maybe get a better data in the long run, so we can actually do that full assessment and kind of figure out where that sits and what that looks like. But that would be kind of the bigger goal of kind of figuring that out. So all in all, kind of looking at all this information, it's definitely kind of encouraging to parse through it and kind of figure out like what are the right questions to ask, so we can actually find out a little bit more information, so we can make a better utilization of the data that we're actually looking at. But ultimately, this is really about kind of understanding and looking at the information, so we can actually break it down and use it to the best interest of the city council, so we can figure out like actually helping out like traffic patterns and how we can actually place better utilization of our parking lots within the city itself. Thank you so much. I think this kind of covers the gist of what we're supposed to talk about. As I'm looking at the deliverables of this, it's most importantly to look at the rationale and the goals of the project itself, and it's kind of like talking about looking at these specific charts of information, the box plots, and then the scatter plots, and effectively like I only had to look at two of them, but the nice thing is, because I'm not doing a slide deck per se, I can actually actively go through every single chart. We can look at it actively as we go through. I have a little bit more access to be able to create full video and do a full stream to kind of go through all the information on screen and slide through and scroll through. Makes it a little bit easier to kind of look at everything, so we can really talk about this and really break it down. That would be the best way to really go through this information and talk to people about like how to best use this information. But we can look at the big takeaways of this are lot 4 is underutilized and lot 2 is extremely utilized. So kind of figuring out as far as city management is concerned, like what we can do as far as trying to get more usage of lot 4, and then trying to basically push traffic away from lot 2 so much so that it's not constantly filled with vehicles, because it definitely is always at 100%. So I can only imagine like how much traffic happens to where cars are like driving through this parking lot trying to look for a space, but it's completely full, so there's no point to even drive into the parking lot itself. But thank you so much. That should cover everything, all the touch points that I see on the deliverables as far as this is concerned. I will make a few slides to add into this at the beginning and at the end, so it'll be a full comprehensive video explaining all the information. Thank you so much.